Silent guardians. The medical research vessel, Asclepius, drifted through the void between Procyon and Sol, its pearlescent hull gleaming under the distant starlight. Inside, Dr. Maya Rivera peered into a molecular visualizer, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling protein chains displayed in holographic brilliance before her. "That's it," she whispered, watching as the synthetic antibody locked perfectly onto the pathogen's receptor site. 3 years of research, hundreds of failed trials, and finally, a cure for Thanatos syndrome, the neurological disease ravaging the Procyon colonies. The intercom chimed, Dr. Rivera to the bridge. Captain Takahashi's usually steady voice carried an undercurrent of tension. When Maya arrived, the bridge crew stood rigid at their stations. On the main view screen, 3 angular vessels approached, obsidian arrowheads against the star-speckled backdrop. "Hegemony warships," said Takahashi, his weathered face grim. "They're hailing us." The view screen flickered, revealing a pale, elongated face with 4 pupilless eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. High Executor Vexar of the Arcturus Hegemony, his voice a mechanical monotone through the translation matrix. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Hegemony Biological Research Restriction 47 Alpha. Your species is forbidden from developing Level 4 medical technologies without supervision. Prepare for boarding and research confiscation." Maya stepped forward. "High Executor, this is Dr. Maya Rivera. We're a medical vessel operating under Galactic Union Charter. The cure we've developed is for Thanatos syndrome." "A convenient cover for bioweapon development," interrupted Vexar. "The hegemony has monitored your species' rapid advancement with growing concern. Humanity expanded from a single world to 17 colonies in less than a century, unprecedented among non-uplifted species. Your technological progress does not follow standard evolutionary patterns." "That's not a crime," Takahashi said. "It is an anomaly that requires correction," replied Vexar, as targeting locks engaged on their hull. "The Hegemony Council has decided that humanity's development must be regulated more stringently." Maya's hands tightened into fists. "There are 10,000 colonists dying on Procyon IV. This cure is their only hope. Their sacrifice will maintain galactic stability." The transmission cut off. Warning klaxons blared as the hegemony ships opened fire. The Asclepius shuddered under the barrage, its minimal defensive shields collapsing almost instantly. "They're targeting our research bay," shouted the tactical officer. Maya watched in horror as a precision beam sliced through the ship's hull, vaporizing 3 years of work in seconds. The emergency bulkhead sealed, but not before 7 of her team were exposed to vacuum. As the Asclepius listed, bleeding atmosphere and power, something unexpected happened. Deep within the ship's systems, a dormant program activated, something old, embedded in the firmware of every human vessel, but never triggered. The Guardian Protocol. Across the solar system, automated systems that had lain dormant for over a century stirred to life. On Earth, ancient quantum communication arrays powered up beneath the Mariana Trench. On Luna, sensor networks awoke from their long slumber. And on Mars, buried beneath the polar ice caps, massive hangar doors began to slide open for the first time since the Unification Wars. Captain Takahashi stared in confusion at his command console as it displayed information he'd never seen before. "What the hell is this?" A new voice spoke through the ship's systems, neither male nor female, but calm and resolute. "Guardian Protocol activated. Level 5 threat to human medical vessel detected. Authentication. Valkyrie Actual. Deploying defense assets." On the view screen, the space behind them rippled as reality itself seemed to fold. 3 massive shapes emerged from what could only be described as tiers in space-time. The vessels were unlike anything in modern human fleets, sleek, dark, and menacing, bearing no running lights or identification markers. Their hulls absorbed rather than reflected light, creating the impression of ship-shaped voids moving through space. The Asclepius's communications officer reported in disbelief. "Captain, we're being hailed by by the UES Nemesis, UES Retribution, and UES Vindication. Those ships were decommissioned over a century ago. Put them through, ordered Takahashi. A woman appeared on screen, her uniform unfamiliar, bearing insignia from Earth's pre-unification military. Medical vessel Asclepius. This is Admiral Constance Zhao, Earth Defense Fleet. We've been waiting a long time to wake up. What's your situation? Maya and Takahashi exchanged bewildered glances. The Earth Defense Fleet had been disbanded after humanity unified and joined the galactic community as a peaceful member. Or so everyone believed. We're under attack by hegemony warships, Takahashi explained, regaining his composure. They've destroyed our medical research. Admiral Zhao's expression hardened. Understood. Get your wounded to safety. We'll handle this. The hegemony vessels, detecting the new arrivals, reoriented to face this unexpected threat. High Executor Vexar transmitted again, his confidence now brittle. Unidentified vessels. This is an authorized hegemony enforcement action. Interference will be considered an act of war. Admiral Zhao's response was chillingly calm. High Executor, this is an unauthorized attack on a human medical vessel. The consequences are yours alone. The ancient warships moved with impossible speed and precision. From the Nemesis, a wave of energy rippled outward, not a weapon, but something that caused the hegemony ship's shields to simply cease functioning. What was that? Whispered Maya. Phase inverse shield disruption, said the tactical officer, reading from historical data now flooding his terminal. Technology banned under the Arcturus Conventions, which humanity signed after developing it. The Retribution and Vindication unleashed pinpoint strikes that disabled the hegemony vessel's weapon systems without destroying the ships. It was surgical, deliberate, and terrifying in its demonstration of technological superiority. The entire engagement lasted less than 30 seconds. Admiral Zhao reappeared on screen. Medical vessels secured. We're dispatching medical teams and engineers to assist with repairs. The hegemony ships have been neutralized. Maya found her voice. Admiral, how is this possible? These ships, this technology, none of this should exist. Zhao's expression softened slightly. Dr. Rivera, humanity's path to the stars wasn't as peaceful as you were taught. Before first contact, Earth nearly destroyed itself in the unification wars. When we finally united and encountered other civilizations, we made a choice to present ourselves as a peaceful species, to integrate rather than dominate. But you kept the weapons, said Takahashi. Some of us argued that the galaxy might not be as welcoming as it appeared. The Defense Council created the Guardian Protocol, a final insurance policy. Selected ships and crews entered long-term stasis, hidden throughout the solar system, to be awakened only if humanity faced an existential threat. Vexar's voice cut in, now lacking its mechanical precision. This is impossible. Human military technology was thoroughly assessed when you joined the Galactic Union. Your species possesses no such capabilities. You assessed what we showed you, replied Zhao. You saw what we wanted you to see. As the Asclepius limped back toward Earth under escort, Maya stood silently on the bridge, watching the stars. Her cure was gone, but the data remained. They could recreate it. What couldn't be undone was the revelation of humanity's hidden past and the question of what would happen now. In the medical bay, treating survivors with Admiral Zhao, Maya finally asked the question burning in her mind. Why now? Why reveal this secret after a century of peace? Zhao applied a regenerative bandage to a researcher's burns before answering. The Guardian Protocol has specific activation parameters. It doesn't trigger for political disputes or border skirmishes. It activates only when someone targets what we hold most sacred. And what's that? Our healers, said Zhao simply. Throughout human history, across every culture and war, one principle remained constant. Medical ships and personnel were protected, inviolable. The hegemony didn't just attack your ship, Dr. Rivera. They violated a fundamental human value. That we could not allow. As news spread throughout human space, as the Galactic Union convened emergency sessions, as the hegemony issued formal apologies, humanity faced a new reality. They were not just the peaceful newcomers to galactic society. They were the species who had mastered the art of war so thoroughly that they chose to set it aside, but never forgot how to wield it. The sleeping guardians had awakened, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Reckoning's dawn. 3 days after the hegemony attack, Maya stood before the Galactic Union Council on New Geneva Station. The circular chamber hummed with tension as representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations debated humanity's future. The Arcturus hegemony delegation sat in stony silence, their four-eyed gazes fixed on the holographic evidence of their unprovoked attack. Beside them, representatives of the elder races, the Tellarites, the Meridian Collective, and the enigmatic Voidborn, watched with expressions ranging from concern to barely concealed fascination. Dr. Rivera began the Tellarite Arbiter, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the light as he moved. Your testimony confirms the hegemony violated multiple articles of the Galactic Charter by attacking a clearly marked medical vessel. However, humanity's concealment of military assets and technologies raises troubling questions. Maya squared her shoulders. With respect, Arbiter, humanity concealed nothing that was asked of us. When we joined the Union, we declared our active military capabilities as required. The Guardian Protocol involves decommissioned ships and technology that haven't been deployed or developed further in over a century. High Executor Vexar rose, his elongated form towering over the other delegates. This is semantic evasion. Your decommissioned vessels disabled 3 of our most advanced warships in less than a minute using technologies that violate multiple arms limitation treaties. Treaties your ships violated first by firing on a medical vessel, countered Admiral Zhao, who stood at Maya's side in a modern diplomatic uniform, the old Earth Defense Fleet insignia conspicuously absent. The debate continued for hours. Maya noticed the Voidborn representative, a shifting mass of bioluminescent tendrils housed in a containment field, engage in silent communication with the Meridian ambassador. The oldest spacefaring civilizations seemed less surprised than they should have been. During a recess, Maya found herself approached by emissary Thalaxar of the Meridian Collective, a being of living metal whose liquid silver form approximated a humanoid shape. Doctor, the emissary's voice resonated directly in her mind. Your species continues to surprise us. You don't seem as shocked as the others, Maya observed. The silver surface of the emissary rippled in what might have been amusement. The elder races have suspected humanity's potential since your first interstellar transmissions reached us centuries ago. The mathematical elegance of your physics equations, the savagery of your fictional entertainment, the speed with which you advanced from splitting the atom to splitting spacetime. Did you truly believe we accepted your sudden transformation into peaceful explorers without question? Then why allow us into the Union? Because we recognize something familiar, replied Thalaxar. Each of the elder races followed a similar path, developing terrible weapons, bringing ourselves to the precipice of annihilation, then choosing another way. The difference is that most species discard their weapons entirely when they choose peace. And we kept some, just in case, Maya said quietly. Precisely. It speaks to a particularly human characteristic, hope tempered by caution. You wish to believe in the best outcome while preparing for the worst. We found it prudent to include such a perspective in galactic governance. The Council reconvened, and the Arbiter announced their decision. The hegemony would pay reparations for the attack and submit to restrictions on their military movements for 50 standard years. Humanity would be required to register the Guardian Protocol ships and technology, but would be permitted to maintain them as a defensive measure. As the delegates filed out, Maya noticed Captain Takahashi deep in conversation with representatives from 3 different species, all known for their advanced medical research. The captain caught her eye and nodded toward a side chamber. Doctor, he said when she joined them, These researchers have offered to help us recreate the Thanatos cure. Their governments are contributing facilities and expertise. The Nixil researcher, a feathered being with 6 manipulator limbs, bobbed in agreement. Your work was exceptional, Dr. Rivera. The attack on your ship was unconscionable, especially given the urgency of your mission. Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The Procyon colonists will receive treatment within the month, assured the Tellarite physician. We've already synthesized an emergency palliative based on your preliminary data. Later, aboard the newly repaired Asclepius, Maya found Admiral Zhao in the observation lounge, watching as Earth rotated below. The scars of the unification wars long since healed beneath flourishing green continents. Will you go back to sleep? Maya asked. Now that the crisis is over. Zhao shook her head. The Guardian Protocol can't be reset. Now that we're awake, humanity must decide what to do with us and the technology we safeguarded. And what do you think will happen? I've been reading your history, Doctor. In the century since we entered stasis, humanity has built something remarkable. 17 thriving colonies, peaceful relations with most species, medical and scientific advancements focused on healing rather than harm. You've lived up to our highest hopes. Maya gazed at the stars. But we still need guardians. Perhaps you need to remember that peace isn't the absence of strength, but its most disciplined application. On Mars, the ancient hangars were being carefully studied by Union inspectors, their technology now registered but still firmly under human control. On Earth, historians began revising the sanitized accounts of humanity's path to unification. And throughout human space, citizens grappled with the revelation that their peaceful civilization rested on the foundation of weapons powerful enough to earn the respect and caution of the galaxy's oldest powers. 6 months later, the Asclepius approached Procyon IV, its mission finally complete. From the bridge, Maya watched as medical shuttles descended to the surface, carrying the cure that would save thousands. Captain Takahashi joined her, his presence a steady comfort. Was it worth it? He asked quietly. The exposure of our secrets, the political complications, was saving one colony worth changing humanity's place in the galaxy. Maya thought of the patients waiting below, of the families who would now have futures together. Yes, she said simply. This is who we are. We heal when we can, fight when we must, and never abandon our own. In the wake of what historians would later call the Asclepius incident, humanity's role in the Galactic Union evolved. No longer seen as naive newcomers, humans were increasingly sought as mediators in interspecies conflicts, respected for their capacity for both compassion and calculated force. The Arcturus hegemony, its expansionist ambitions checked, began a slow process of reform. Other species, particularly those with limited military capabilities, sought closer alliances with humanity, creating a more balanced power structure within the Union. And on Earth, in a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, the Defense Council, re-established after a century, gathered to discuss the future. Admiral Zhao presented her recommendation that humanity maintain the Guardian Protocol as a defensive measure only, while continuing its primary focus on exploration, diplomacy, and healing. We need not choose between being peacekeepers or warriors, she told them. Humanity's strength has always been in finding the balance between what we can do and what we should do. As the council deliberated, Maya Rivera stood at a laboratory bench on Procyon IV, teaching local medical students the principles behind the cure that had saved their world. Outside the window, 2 vessels orbited silently, the medical ship Asclepius, and, at a discreet distance, the watchful presence of the UES Nemesis. Guardians in the shadows, healers in the light. This was humanity's new covenant with the stars, to offer an open hand while keeping the other ready, not out of fear or aggression, but from the hard-won wisdom that sometimes peace must be protected with the potential for force. The galaxy was learning what humanity had always known, that true strength lies not in weapons alone, but in knowing when to use them. and more importantly, when not to.